And I'm here to talk today about shame, what it is, how it presents in our life, and some of the events that have caused me to feel shame in my life. So, shame is a very interesting emotion. It's different than guilt because guilt, you think, I did something wrong, and it helps you to make an adjustment or a correction. You feel guilty over something, you want to make amends. Shame is deeper than that. It's not just that I did bad, but it's that I am bad. And it can be a very powerful emotion. It can really cause us to um, not show up the way that we want to show up in life. And I've experienced this in my life. There have been times where I've been deeply ashamed of my actions, and I felt it so much that I want to give up. And that's where shame can be a very dangerous emotion. It's nice if you can project ahead and think that an action will cause you shame. And if you can get to that point where you're thinking ahead to, hey, this might cause me to feel shame, that would be fantastic. But a lot of times we don't have that, and we're unaware of our triggers and our traumas, and something happens and it causes us just to go off or way off script from the way that we want to be. And that's where I felt the most shame in my life, is that I know how I'm showing up or how I want to show up. There have been certain things that I felt guilt over, but the times where I feel the most shame is when I am not acting in harmony with my integrity, when I know that I've gone out of integrity and acted very foolishly. Like, for example, it could be buying fast food. I always feel a little hint of shame afterwards because that's not who I want to be. But then that slowly turns into guilt. I realize what the fast food industry has done and all the science behind trying to attract people into eating this garbage food out there, how it connects to emotions. But I'd have to say the thing in my life that has caused me the most shame, or really afterwards I've broken down, is when somebody is attacking me, and verbally, or if I feel it feeling verbally abused, or somebody's really just showing some contempt towards me, like where they think they're better than you and they're putting you down. And if that keeps coming at me, I I don't walk away fast enough at times, and I let it build up, and I think, oh, I'm a good person, I can take this, and all of a sudden it's like this anger and this rage just like starts to pour out of me. I start to attack and blow up, and I've thrown things on the ground, broken things. I've slammed doors, put a hole in a wall one time, and it's in self defense, kind of. And I've heard this to a more serious extent for people who've gone to war. I've heard that some of the things that people are most ashamed of, and one of the hardest parts about war, is not what's done to you. Because when we have stuff done to you, we feel oppressed. But if we put up with it with patience, and we endure, and we show like a Christ like, God like type of a spirit where we endure it, there's this confidence, and you can walk away and you're not happy with how things happen, but you can still look at yourself in the mirror. The thing with shame, and where a lot of people struggle with this, is I've heard of people coming back from war, and it's not what happened to them, but it's what they did in response to what happened to them. Maybe somebody got killed and then they went off and did some terrible things, maybe murdered, raped, whatever. And then it's that feeling of, I didn't know that I had that evil within me. And that's where I felt the most shame, where I've raged. I've raged at my wife when things are going difficult, and I feel like she's really giving to me, and then I'll just blow up. And it's like, it's one thing to take the hurt, but to turn around and hurt somebody else or cause pain to somebody else verbally. I'm thankful I've never done it physically, but man, I imagine there's times where it's been that close. And I've talked to therapists about this. They say that that's where a lot of abuse starts. Somebody thinks they can put up with it, they don't leave the room fast enough. And then next thing you know, it turns, it's like you feel like you're fighting for your life. But it's psychological. So that those are the things that have been most shameful in my life. Is, I would say, just raging, that anger that comes up, and then after everything settles down, I remember thinking, like, have I lost my faith? Have I lost my purpose? Am I a different human than what I thought I was? And I think a lot of us experienced that. I don't think it's something to be ashamed of now. Now I look back and I'm like, I really tried to see myself the way that God sees me. I'm trying my best, doing my best to be a good human, and there are things that come up, and as long as you can explain what happened, and not to a narcissistic level where you're excusing everything, but you allow space for your own humanity, and then talk it over with somebody. That's what's been the most helpful. That's what's gotten me out of my shame, is telling somebody else, hey, I did this or I did that. And then a lot of times it's met with disappointment, but then after the disappointment subsides, it is okay, well, what can we do to work on this? um, I'm ashamed of some of the things I've done, said, some of the ways I've acted, but I don't carry that with me anymore. And I think that's a very positive message, and something that I feel like a lot of people can hold on to as they deal with however they've acted in the past, or maybe how they're currently acting. It's very important to get help. It's very important to get support and deal with those feelings, because feeling shame, if you internalize that and carry it forward, it can be devastating to future relationships. It can turn into narcissism. It can turn into oppressive acts, and like they say, hurt people hurt people. So love people love people. That's what we want to turn into. That's what I am striving for, not to continue on as a hurt person, not to continue on in shame. All right, that's my post for this week. Loves.